everyone, I'm Jody. Welcome to my channel and welcome to how to get a nice base to your makeup with using just a couple drugstore products. Now, I don't want to say drugstore is in a negative connotation. These are good quality products that are much more affordable, and when you apply the right amount to the right areas, you can get a nice flawless look that lasts for hours. If you're ready to get a flawless base to your makeup using drugstore products, for those of us that are, well, let's just say with more mature skin, then we're gonna get right to it. I'm using 3 different brands. Can you guess which ones they are? They're all very good quality. So if you're ready, I'll meet you on the other side of the intro. And this is a good time to hit that subscribe button so that you can join a community of aging women who are doing it with grace and poise and just trying to keep our busy lives moving forward while we do it as beautifully as we can. So let me share with you how to get this flawless base with drugstore products. So if you guys are ready, let's just jump right in because I got some work to do on this base of mine. I'm going to start with a little bit of moisturizer. This is the CeraVe Night Cream, and I do love using this in the daytime on my makeup. So I will just use about that small amount, rub it between my fingers, and really hydrate my skin. Because we've talked about this a lot, and if you're new to my channel or you're new to makeup, one of the most important things that you can do for your makeup look is to ensure that your skin is really hydrated. I don't know that I knew that well enough when I was in my 20s and 30s, and probably not even in my 40s. I think I would skip the prep or I like to now call it the plump stage of the makeup process. And that's what this moisturizer really does before you start to put on your makeup. I'm gonna use a little bit more just underneath my eyes. I try not to put too much underneath my eyes because if this area gets too slippery from an emollient type formula, that's where I find that my concealer will slip and not stay where I want it as well. So I do like to just add a little bit there, but just a very little bit, and then a very little bit, and then really let that soak in and absorb into my skin. Next, I'm gonna go in and do just a little bit of contouring, and for that, I'm going to use the Age Rewind Eraser. This is by Maybelline, and I take that sponge tip applicator off. I just don't like the looks of it. I feel like it just builds bacteria. I don't know, it's just my own personal weirdness. And I'm gonna put a little bit of that on the tip of my damp beauty sponge. And I have it in color 147.5. It's pretty dark. And again, I use this as a contour. So I'm just gonna put a few. I know you guys are looking at that going, holy moly, Jody. But trust the process. I promise you it will all blend out really nicely. I'm just gonna do a little bit on my cheekbones because I don't wanna really emphasize those too much. But I do like to emphasize a bit of a jawline. So for that, I'm gonna use just what's left on this applicator. And then from there, I'm gonna just pounce that right along the jawline and then underneath just this chin area so that from the side, this looks more tight and pulled back and just helps slim the double chin area if you have one going on like I do. I'm just gonna blend this away by pouncing that damp beauty sponge right where I want that contour to go, which for me is right on my cheekbone. If you have more full cheeks and you want to create a cheekbone, a sculpted cheekbone, then you would want to just find where that cheekbone is for you and then put your contour right where your cheekbone actually is. That's the great thing about, I think, sculpting is you can really create the sculpt of the face that you have. You can emphasize it. You can shape it slightly. You can't restructure the look of your face completely with makeup in a day-to-day wear. Now, if you wanted to create something for a Halloween look, of course, there's some amazing makeup artists that do that. But for those of us that are looking for a day-to-day, everyday look, sculpting like contouring and highlighting is really just gonna allow you to take your normal features and sculpt them out a little bit more or emphasize them some. All right, so I'm just gonna take that right all the way across my forehead and then down through the side of the face. And I wanna avoid this area where I'm a little more hollow. Do the same on this other side. While I'm pouncing this, I'm gonna share with you guys if you were noticing this shirt. Yes, this is the intro that I have on the video. I love this saying that really what age is the ability to be grateful for everything, so that as we age, it just reminds us to be more and more grateful for everything, every experience, every encounter, everything that's happened in our lives. And I think that's what comes with age. So that's really why I created that logo. That's why you see it on the opening of the video. And you can find these shirts. There's phone cases, there's coffee mugs, all on my website at jodymanis.com. And you can also find them here on the YouTube channel right underneath this video. All right, so when I'm done blending, that's what you should have, is something that looks like that. And then we will go in and go over all of this with the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating CC Cream. I have it in color 205N, which is neutral. And with just one pump, I'm gonna lightly put that in little dots around the outer sides of my face and work my way in. And doing the same thing with the wider side of the damp beauty sponge. I'm really just pressing and pouncing at the same time. Now, if you find that you have more oily skin, then you might just want to use the regular CC cream that e.l.f. has, not this hydrating one, because that's going to add extra hyaluronic acid to this serum, so it's going to feel more slippery. So stay away from that if you have oily skin. And you can also try a mattifying primer underneath your foundation or your CC cream or your whatever your base is if you have more oily skin. And you can also just spot treat with a mattifying primer. So maybe you're just oily in the T-zone, just pick up a good mattifying primer and apply that in that T-zone, and that will help with the oil. But I'm not oily anymore. I used to hate having oily skin, and now I'd give anything for my oily skin back. I just did not know how much I was going to miss it until it's too late and it was gone. But see how pretty that contour becomes when you undersculpt it? I think on more mature skin, if you're going to do any contouring, I find that it just looks more natural when you do that darker color first and then go over it with your base or your CC cream or your tinted moisturizer or your foundation, whatever your base is, and in this case it's that CC cream. I love the coverage of this CC cream, this new formula by e.l.f. This is not sponsored by e.l.f. or any of the products that I'm using today. I just like this because it's a nice natural finish. It's a sheer to medium coverage. It is buildable. I don't choose to build it because if I wanted more of a medium to full coverage, I would use a foundation, but I don't really find that I like that full coverage look anymore. I find that I'm learning that less is more, like we've heard that for years. But until I've reached a point in my makeup where I'm like, yeah, less makeup is a better look. I just find that I like more skincare and more prep work before the makeup. But when it comes to the makeup, I definitely like less. All right, so now I'm going to reach for my concealer because we need to conceal a little bit. I'll tell you a funny story about this. The other day I was on my way to the TV station to do that segment on New Day Northwest. And for some reason, when I looked in the mirror, I do take a couple extra things of makeup with me just so when I get there, if I want to touch up something last minute, it's usually some powder for underneath my eyes, that I can do that. But I had forgotten concealer that day. And I started to panic a little bit because I'm like, where am I going to find concealer right now? I need concealer. Duh, I can go pick it up at the drugstore. Drugstores are open like at 7 a.m. so I can swing by there and get it. And sure enough, they had all the colors I needed. And I am using color 330. And I was just so grateful, and I thought, gosh, I don't know that I talk about this concealer enough by L'Oreal. Again, it's the 24-hour infallible. If you're looking for a good concealer, I really think that this is a really nice one. It does have a very large doe foot applicator, which causes concern, so I always put it on my hand first, or else I just find that I use too much concealer if I do it here. So I'm just gonna take the very tip of that damp beauty sponge, pick up that concealer, and go right where I need it. Very thin application. I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit, let the air evaporate out of it, pick up the rest of that concealer and go right around my nose and do a little bit of spot treating just where I find that it's a little bit, and then a little bit down the bridge of my nose and right up through here. I just want to give a little bit of a light to this area since we put that contour there, and brighten it up a little bit, but not enough to leave a color, just whatever's left on the damp beauty sponge. And then from there, looks like it's not really even, so we're gonna go back and even that application out. bring that up. And the reason I like to use the tip of this damp beauty sponge, this is by Real Techniques by the way, is because that angle allows me to go right up where that eyeshadow is and give a nice sharp line. And looks very much more professional than I could do if I was to do my makeup, my eyeshadow first and then go back in with this concealer. See how pretty that looks? Not a lot of creasing. And when I apply my concealer, again, I like to use that damp beauty sponge, but really with this, I'm doing more pressing instead of pouncing because I feel like the pouncing almost gives it an uneven texture as I'm pulling the damp beauty sponge away. So this is more of a press and roll application, and that's an important technique change when you're doing this concealer. And then on days like today where I have some really purple discoloration right in through here, I will go back in with my concealer and just get a little bit on a synthetic brush. This is the Angie Hot and Flashy A505. My eyes are getting worse and worse. Luckily, I can still move my arm out far enough to get a clear read on whatever I'm looking at. And I'll just press this in to cover up that discoloration on my eye. There, that looks better. Do you guys have a favorite drugstore product? Doesn't matter what it is, like what is your one, like if you're going to the drugstore, you're like, I'm going to the drugstore specifically because I am out of blank. Let me know in the comments what that is, because the drugstore has so many, when you think about the drugstore, you include Target and Walmart and Ulta, the drugstore section. There are so many good brands and an amazing array of products that I can't possibly cover all of them on the channel. And I want to know what you guys have found so that we can share that with everyone else. So next I'll take a little bit of the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. Make sure there's no lines or creasing underneath my eyes before I set it with this powder. Add just a tiny bit of that powder to the side of that dampened beauty sponge. Pounce out anything left and then press this dampened beauty sponge right underneath. It's like talking and applying makeup today has been, it's a chore, and I don't know why. I normally can do it with no problem, but today, multitasking, the brain and the hands are not on the same wavelength. Bear with me, we will get there. It's an easy process and it's a fun process, so be sure to save this video in case you're like, I don't have time to do that today, or you don't know what to buy when you get to the drugstore. You can use the links in the description box to take you right to it if you're an order online kind of person. Or just do a screenshot of the description box so when you get to the store, you have it all listed right there for you and you know what it is that you wanted to purchase. For the blush, I'm going to go in with the Camo Liquid Blush by e.l.f. This is Pinky Promise. And I want to put this blush not on the apples of my cheek because I don't want that area to look more full. I actually want my cheekbones to look a little more full because that's where I've lost volume. So I'm going to go right on the outer section of my eye, like that outer third of my eye, and place that blush right there. And then I'll just go in, and you can use your damp beauty sponge for this as well. Press and roll motion. That's a really pretty color. It's very light. Now if you have oily skin, you can set this with a powder blush to give some longevity to that look. One of the big beauty trends for 2024 is a more translucent or flushed look to your blush. So a blush that says there's a little bit of pink or redness or peachiness there, but there's not a blush color. That's the look that you're really going for. And I think we've achieved that. Oh, this one needs a little more blending. And then we're gonna top it off with some of the e.l.f. Halo Glow. There's no theme here, you guys, but when I look at drugstore products, I don't shop by brand, I shop by quality of that specific product. And as I was looking at all this today, there's, a L'Oreal, there's one L'Oreal, one Maybelline, and the rest is all e.l.f. And again, that's not by design, that wasn't on purpose. e.l.f. doesn't sponsor my videos. They don't send me any free product. I just find that their products are really good. Do I love the fact that they dupe a lot of more expensive brands' makeup? I don't love that they dupe the packaging. I don't love that at all. I do love that they are able to provide a very quality product for a price that is much more affordable to the mainstream. So for that, I do like talking about their products and making sure that people are aware of how good they are. So if you're on a budget, you still can have a really nice makeup look. Now here's the part that I think makes the biggest difference. I like to go in after I've put on everything from a base perspective because it was a lot of creams. Creams tend to have a little bit more of a serum feel to them. I like to take a beauty, this is more of a beauty sponge, so this is probably a beauty pad, a beauty cloth. And I like to just kind of taco it around. However you apply, it's really up to you. But I like to take that and go over all of my makeup and allow this to pick up any excess moisture or serum or oils from the product. And even though I have dry skin, I still do this because I feel like throughout the day, I don't feel my makeup sliding. It doesn't look cakey. It really looks flawless much longer, no matter what product I've used on my face. So once I do that, and I will go right over everything, even where I put that powder really lightly there, just to pick up any left powder that I have, and get everything picked up and really help, it helps absorb. I don't have a lot of excess oil to absorb, but it does pick up extra product. And then I will go in with this e.l.f. Stay All Night. This is the blue light micro setting. It's supposed to help with sitting in front of a blue light all day, which I do a lot of the time, so why not get the added protection? Spray that everywhere. It's a nice setting spray. It just helps melt all of your products together, I think, and I just think it's a really nice everyday look. This isn't a super glam look. Unless you like more of that soft, natural approach to your makeup, then this is a good look for daytime, right into night. You can go a little bit darker on the eyes if you want. And even though this is a base tutorial, I'm gonna finish up my lips because I can't finish the tutorial without my lipstick on. And I'm gonna use the NYX Pale Pink pencil with L'Oreal's Fairest Nude number 800. Ta-da! Pretty simple, right? That was really easy and very affordable. As always, I will link all these products in the description box below in case you are looking for a couple drugstore products in any of these categories. It's using the right products, the right amount of products, and then the right placement of those products can work wonders with any type of a product, whether it's luxury or drugstore. But why go get luxury if you've got drugstore that really can help you have a flawless look? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to give it a like. That really helps the YouTube algorithm, and I appreciate it. And of course, subscribe to join our amazing community of great, supportive, caring, kind women that are just trying to age gracefully and keep our busy lives together moving forward while we're trying to look as good as we can. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I will see you in just a couple days. Bye-bye.